I welcome all divine souls to this auspicious gathering. At the outset, at the very outset, let me tell you that I am not a teacher and I don't teach from books. I am a transformer. I catch you, shake you and wake you up, whatever may be my technique. When we were in kindergarten, do you know what is kindergarten? That's a German word. Montessori is an English word. What do you say in American? What do you call it? Toddlers, nursery. What do you call the kindergarten? The school for children from 3 to 5. Kindergarten. Kinder is school for children. And you put some books and toys before them. Why do they need a teacher? Can anybody tell me? Why does the kindergarten children need a teacher? Why can't they learn on their own? There are apples, toys, and there are books also. Why can't they learn the ABC or colors from the book? Why can't they?
They can't read yet.
They can't read yet. Right? It's a good answer. So also, in spirituality, people who take books from eclectic, self-styled teachers cannot find any learning from that. The same reason, they can't read the inner print. They can read the letter of the book, but not the living spirit therein. For that, the master is required. And no matter how much you may practice the spiritual technique, right? They cannot actualize it into experience. So just as a child has reading, which comes as a barrier, he has to learn to read. And someone to tutor him that this is red, this is blue, this is sweet, give him an apple that this is sweet. Just as you need a teacher for a limited place like the nursery, you need a teacher. How much more will you need a master to lead you across the uncharted territories of the infinite infinities which lead you to the solitary singularity, the supreme reality? How much more do you need a teacher or master? This is one fact which I put before you. And even if you have a car and you don't have the petrol or gas, what are you going to do with the car? That's like the book. So therefore, the living spark comes from the master to the disciple. Teacher cannot do it. One dormant volcano cannot ignite another dormant volcano. One blind man cannot lead another blind man. Even if he's a so-called self-styled teacher writing books, they will both fall in the ditch. Because they cannot actualize the technique into experience. Can you understand? Can you dig it? Nail it. Nail it. And this is what I'm going to show you through experience. If all books were enlightened, then the book would read you and you would be the book and book would be you. And the book would be dancing with joy. So what I am trying to say, before I start teaching you, that teaching the sacred sciences needs the living spark to come from one master to another. It cannot be done by the dead letter. It needs a live spark. It's very, very important. The actualization is important. The actualization of the dead letter word into a living experience is the name of the game. And the other name for the Satguru or the master is actualization. He is the actualizer of your fantasies into reality. That's all. You cannot have the inner guru. In America they talk, oh, I have my inner guru and all. They don't know what they're talking about. Because as long as there are ripples of thoughts in your mind's lake, you cannot see the moon of your delight. It will be shattered into 1,000 fragments. I. But if your lake of mind is placid, then only you can see the inner guru. And this comes after the stage of nirvichar samadhi, the thoughtless samadhi. Some of you who I gave you the experience just now. Only then the inner guru arises and you can take guidance. Till then, the outer guru is a reflection, is a manifestation of your inner guru. When they both combine, they go into the depths of your mind, slay the dragon of your ego, and both the guru and disciple come up victorious. This is the mystic, spiritual and symbolic meaning of slaying of the dragon. You cannot slay the dragon alone. You need the Satguru. If you have the spear, you have your physical body, but you have not the will and power, the willpower to throw the spear, you cannot slay the dragon. The Satguru, the master, outward and inward, is your willpower to slay the dragon of your ego. I. The dragon is making gurgling sounds, it's taking its last gasp of breath. Dragon ego is taking its last gasp of breath before it dies. And the slaying of the dragon of the ego is very important, which the Satguru and the Master does. And the taming of the bull of passions is also important, which the Master does. Therefore, in kindergarten, if you require a teacher, how much more will you require it to navigate the infinite spaces of creation and get to your divine indweller and get to the supreme reality? This is why a Satguru or a master is necessary. And Jesus has said, cast ye not your pearls before the swine, lest they trample those pearls, turn around and rend you asunder. To give a sacred technique to an unprepared public would lead to the same results. There would be karmic repercussions. These karmic repercussions are not understood by the West. So they try to show that they secretly go take the mantras, promise not to reveal it, and they reveal it in a book. This is a gross. Otherwise they should say before that we are going to reveal it, give us this technique. But without saying it when they do it, it has serious karmic repercussions for the person who gives it and for the reader. Because it is for everyone. We are giving everyone the spiritual techniques, but there's a proper time and proper season and place to give it to the proper person. Because the proper people do the proper techniques. You cannot put a Michael Phelps in the chair of Stephen Hawking and tell Stephen Hawking to swim 100 meters and Michael Phelps to do the quantum physics. It will be a disaster. This is like a total prostitution of the inner qualities of a human being, which are totally misused for the wrong purposes. You have to give the proper technique, the proper knowledge to the proper person at the proper time. So the true master gives the proper knowledge to the proper person at the proper time. And in your greed to know it all, you read all these books and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but you're not prepared. A particular technique is meant at a particular stage. After you have conquered your thoughts, then you do a certain kriya. After you have conquered your ideation and thought forms, you do the next higher kriya. After you've conquered your memory recall of this life, you do the higher kriya. That is sanskars. So vritti, pratyaya and sanskars have the 3 of 6 different kriyas in their stages. which the disciple cannot correlate, which the master can see and help you along. So different techniques are given at different stages. If you do the wrong technique at the wrong stage and accidentally put in a technique for 100 volts into a 10 volt bulb, what will happen to the bulb? Poof! Temporary insanity. So that's what, it's not scaring you. It is for everyone. It must be given, and Babaji said that when the gods and the humans, there was a conclave that whether this sacred science should be given to human beings. They said no, they are treacherous. They will not be able to hold their own. They have no self-control of sacredness and purity. But then great yogis like Lahiri Mahasaya pleaded with the sages of the ancient of days and the gods and said, no, give the humans a chance. Evolution is too slow. They said no. They will prostitute the techniques, take it, print it at large and throw it to the open public. So if you throw these techniques to a jeering crowd, or if you throw it to some terrorist movement, they will burn your Bible and burn your Kriya Yoga and say, ours is the only thing. So there are people, you cannot throw it to a random public, although it is for the whole world, but it's to be given in sacredness. There are three things to remember. Three things. Safety, sanctity, and spirituality. I'm speaking from a lifeline of ancient traditional sages and yogis. Why did the sages and yogis maintain safety, sanctity, and spirituality? Safety they maintained because a young child shouldn't play with electronic toys, otherwise he will short circuit himself and electrocute himself. There will be karmic repercussions for doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. There's a season for everything. There's an age for everything. You can't expect a 3-year-old girl to have a child. But when it grows up, it's legal and it's necessary and it's commanded by God. That be fruitful and multiply. Fill this world with beautiful souls and people. Let them be born. There's a proper time. So also, the safety is required. How the technique should be done. Second is sanctity. The technique should be maintained in its pristine purity. Pristine purity means if I form a circle and I whisper a word, if I say, Kalashnikov, by the time they whisper Kalashnikov, it will come Zingy Bongo. Last fellow will say Zingy Bongo. If you want to, we will try this in the afternoon. We'll sit and whisper it, see what the end word comes. So in order to maintain sanctity and accuracy of the technique, there has to be a certain protocol, a stage of giving it step by step. We don't want to hold it from you. We want to give it to you at the right time. The proper place given by the true master to the truth's proper disciple at the proper time. If you give it to one who has no faith, he will just jeer it, throw it and give it to the open public. What are you trying to prove by this? You have to have and maintain the accuracy of the technique. It should not be contaminated by any other techniques. Should not be mixed up with tantra, should not be mixed up with sex. Therefore, the sanctity of the technique has to be maintained. Hence, we have a respectful audience, a captive audience, people who have reverence, all of one mind. They revere the technique, they value it. And these are the gems, these are the people and the good souls whom the technique must be given to. It is for the whole world. So then they said, well, we want to give the techniques. They said, no, human beings will publish it and give it to people at random. That's exactly what's happening, which was prophesied. Then Babaji said, okay, I will give it, but give it to those people whom I'll ease the technique of Kriya Yoga, give it to those who meditate 12 hours a day. So they said, no, Babaji, you missed it. I think you're out of touch. Mortals don't meditate 10 hours, 12 hours in a day. They are freaking out and they are having this fun and all that stuff. They're freakers. And the models are control freaks, they're trippy trippers, control freaks. It's them we have to evolve, the trippy trippers, control freaks. So then Babaji said, okay, you want to further relax, it will be difficult. Okay, do it for 6 hours. They said, no. Human beings cannot put through. It's just about 1 hour, 3 hours. But once they get going, I promise you that they will reach the heights. Yes, Lahiri, there are people who have reached the heights from the mortal ranks too. And therefore, he put a code. He didn't say distributed freely and publicly. He said, give it to the whole of humanity. Give it to the whole of humanity, but let them be screened. Let there be a certain self-respect, certain esteem, a certain procedure whereby it was given. So this was the sanctity. This was very, very important. They said that if a person does a higher technique, in some of the yoga techniques, you have to have no thought. That is nirvichar samadhi. If even one thought contaminates your consciousness, the technique will not be of any avail and may give you stagnant effects or even at times negative effects. So after you have mastered your thoughts and you are going to master your ideas or thought forms, after you have mastered your vritti, your thoughts, you must master pratyaya. For that another higher technique is given. Then after you have mastered thought forms and pratyaya, you have to master your sanskars, for which another higher technique is given. One of the highest techniques of kriya. So this is the status in which the kriya is related. Now how will a person who goes to the common public, how is he going to find out at which stage he is and what technique should be applied to which stage? Because these so-called self-styled gurus have not mentioned in the book at what state of mind, at what evolution of consciousness, so should that particular kriya be done? It's not given. You have nirvichar samadhi, you have anand samadhi, you have asmit samadhi, savikalp samadhi, nirvikalp samadhi, nirvij samadhi, dharmamik samadhi, and then you have the kaivalya. So this has to be done under guidance. If kindergarten requires guidance, and the living spark, and the love and affection of the teacher, so does Kriya Yoga require guidance and the love and spiritual galvanic action of the master to awaken his kundalini. If books had awakened kundalini, they'd be rearing up like a cobra and dancing from side to side. But they cannot do that, and that's why a master is required. The inner guru does not awaken till the stage of nirvichar samadhi. This is what I have to forewarn you and tell you. And I end with the note that the sacred science of any yoga, Tarak Raj Yoga, Kriya Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, is for the whole world. It is your heritage. It is your wealth, dear souls. Come and take it freely. But take it from the proper person, the proper master, at the proper place and proper time. And therefore it cannot be distributed freely and vulgarly to a random public who has no respect for the sacred technique. The third point is spirituality. Spirituality is the state and rate of evolution. And you must know, can you please sit down? You must understand that the living spark comes from the Satguru, a living master, to his disciple, not from a dead letter of a book. For example, if your car battery is down, it's not this thing. You don't take a teacher battery which is also down and try to jump it. You can't jump the car with two batteries who are both down. That's like a self-styled teacher teaching a blind disciple. So you try to jump it, nothing. You need a live battery, a living master. Then you put the electronic spark and then the car starts. That's the work of the Satguru, the true teacher. And how, Gurunath, will we know it's a true teacher? Now you get to the point. How will we know? And why, Gurunath, the second question is that great masters from Lord Shiva himself to the great rishis like Vashishta and Bhrigu and Atri and Vishwamitra and Dattatreya and the Adi Shankaracharya, all the master of masters and Patanjali, not throw these sacred techniques at random to an unprepared public. Why did they not do it? Why did they not say that I'll say abracadabra and the whole thing will be enlightened at the same time? They can't. Of course, I can say abracadabra and give you the same experience at the same time here. That is that's the linchpin of the Satguru. The true Satguru will be able to breathe through the breath of all you people at the same time. Then he goes out of the hall and tells you individually to call the Satguru. And when you close your eyes and individually call him, he replies to you individually by lengthening your breath. He breathes through your breath. This is one of the things that you know that he is a Satguru. He breathes through your breath. Secondly, that is pranapath. Then he gives shivapath. He transfers his kundalini energy to you and heals your body, mind and spirit, soul. Not spirit. Spirit is perfect. And the third, he gives you shivapath, which is sharing his clear mind state or his universal soul consciousness with you, where the thoughts in your mind dissolve and become his consciousness. That is the test of the master, that any disciple tuned to the master, any mind tuned to an undifferentiated consciousness, which is the master, shall become that consciousness to the degree of its attunement with that consciousness. So these are the litmus tests, some of the very few litmus tests to know that it's a master. And therefore you know you're on the right path. You cannot, even if you have the map, which is the book, and you don't have the Satguru, who is the beacon of light, you cannot see the map, and therefore you cannot go to your destination. So the master is like the lighthouse. He is like the beacon of life on your ship, which makes you see the stars and the map and your pathway. You cannot put off the light which shows you the direction until you have reached the goal. If you have the map in hand, but no eyes to see it, then the map is useless. The master has the eyes to see it. This is true. He is the beacon of light. If you have the car and no petrol to drive it with, then you will stay in one place admiring your car. So you must have stayed at one place stroking your book. The actualization of the red letter into the life experience comes from the living master alone, that spark of knowingness. I hope I have been more than clear. I end this again. Dear souls, nobody is trying to hide or keep anything away from you. Nobody. It is for everybody. But there must be a certain preparedness for that. It must be given by the proper master to the proper disciple at the proper time. Not randomly thrown. Otherwise there will be chaos. Now, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri